Hello, AG and the Queen fans. We are about to recap episode 3, Columbus. Stay tuned for us to talk about a wet t-shirt contest.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, AG and the Queen fans. I am your host, 123 Jackie B. With me, as always, are the lovely Jayla, Roxx, and the amazing Mark J. Freeman.
Amazing! Mark, she must be drinking.
It's so good to see you on this side. This is your other good side.
This is my good side. This is
your
my
other
good side.
It's Ollie's dad's birthday today, so
Happy
he's
birthday, Ollie's
he's
dad.
celebrating
Happy birthday,
with
Ollie's
his
dad.
dad. I think it's also Alyssa Edwards' birthday.
It is
today.
Alyssa Edwards' birthday.
Ah.
So a tongue pop for her somewhere, wherever she is right now. I can't do it.
I can't do that either. What were your overall thoughts of this episode?
Listen, I know every episode is geared for disaster, and I'm here for it. We get to see AJ and the Queen get deeper into their parallels, and that's what we were like predicting last episode.
Mm-hmm.
That we get to see their soulmates, and we're getting deeper into that story. So I'm okay with it. I'm here for it. And there were so many ass jokes. From like Hershey Highway and the rear end. Yeah. I was just like, ha ha ha.
I definitely liked it more than the pilot. Pilots are hard.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you see a show that's got a put in the comments if you remember a pilot.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer has an amazing pilot.
Golden Girls has an amazing pilot too. But you know, they're very few and far between because I think they always just like exposition. So I will say that it definitely is getting better, in my opinion. I mean, there's still moments where I'm like...
This one is, I think, and we're going to recap 4 right after this, actually, in the next stream, but... I will say this is my favorite episode after having seen all
You mean
4
my
right
old
now.
stomping ground, Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah.
I was actually surprised they didn't have Nina in the episode.
Yeah.
I thought, what a perfect opportunity to have Nina.
Listen, she's still a little burnt about her season, about that costume. How dare you bring that costume up here? No, I'm just...
I just thought, Anyway,
it's the costume. Yeah. I'm kidding.
So our cameo this episode was actually James Mansfield, and you caught another one that I didn't even get.
That's Quesadilla from LA. Yeah, she's from LA.
It was the cameos in this episode. They were so brief. I wrote like James Mansfield ? And like then ... It was like
I was curious too when they said they were showing up in Columbus. I'm like, oh, which queens? And I thought, oh, for sure Nina. But I guess I would have known if she was in town taping.
Yeah.
But she's been in and out of town, so you just never know what they're doing either.
Yeah.
So it was.
And none of it makes sense. I mean, you know, some of the cameos we'll talk about later on. It's like some of these are not they're great cameos, but it's not like they make some sort of logistic sense.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there was one cameo that we cannot forget, and that's Rue being Star Booty. That was his gag in the episode. Do you remember the movie Star Booty?
No.
RuPaul plays this like streetwalking like girl with this afro, and that's what kind of like the nod to the outfit that she was wearing. So it was like an early 2000 look with the tied up shirt and the streetwalker.
Because I thought
look.
that was from one of her like earlier music videos.
Right, and it was Star Booty the movie, which streamed all the music videos.
Oh, okay.
So I thought that was a cute cameo for like old RuPaul fans.
And one thing I have to say, I'm gonna gush because it's Columbus, Ohio, and I love Columbus, Ohio.
This is your episode.
This is my episode, and I am a connoisseur of Columbus, Ohio, if I do say so myself. But it was so funny. I loved that when they go to the, which we'll get to, but when they go to get the RV repaired, and how nice the people are. I always say every time I get off the plane in Ohio, I'm like, oh, I'm not in LA anymore. Even when you go to like the grocery store, like you go to get, and the cashier's like, "Hi, how was your day?" I'm like, "Oh."
I read this interview with RuPaul and the other creator, Patrick King.
Mm-hmm.
And Ru was saying that she was saying, you know, I've traveled all over the U.S. for my job, all over the world, but she was specifically mentioning the U.S. And she was saying, you know, people in general to all of the places that I've been have been nice. you know? And so she was saying she wanted to do this show to say, you know, because we live in these times where the news does focus on really just terrible things that are happening to people. And she was like, I wanted to show like what positive things can happen to people in places where, you know, people tend to think of as like scary for LGBTQ people, you know, and I wanted to show something positive happening to say, you know, look, positive things can happen in these places too. And they've happened to me when I've gone on tour. So I liked that because I feel like every episode does kind of have, you know, these interactions where, and Michael Patrick King said, where you're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, but it turns out that like they meet nice people.
Well, and it was funny because when she was walking with AJ, which sorry we haven't yet talked about, but when she's walking out of the club and she's talking about you're misjudging these people, blah blah blah, and that. There was a part of me because I'm so used to that. That storyline that we're going to talk about how nice everybody is and then they get jumped. So there was a part of me that was like, oh, they're going to get jumped. So I was glad to see that it wasn't the case. And I will say Columbus is very, I mean, obviously there's parts of Ohio that aren't, but Columbus in particular is very, I mean, it's like West Hollywood, walk down the street holding hands gay. Like, and I think that surprises people when they go there. I've had a couple of my friends who have gone to Columbus since I've lived out here, and they're like, girl, that was so, like, it's like West Hollywood. I'm like, yeah, it really is. I mean, it's...
Well, I have to book a flight.
It is.
I will book a flight.
Definitely, especially if you're in the Columbus area, definitely go check out Columbus. Check out Union Cafe, Axis. There's a couple other bars downtown that I'm completely drawing the name blanks on now, but definitely it's a fun and cute boys, girl. It's Ohio State campus, fresh meat every year.
See, I want them to start going to like in the next season to start going to other cities that are not just in the South too, because I'm from DC. So shout out to DuPont Circle, which is
there's a lot of cities in the United States, so there can be as many seasons as they want. What I do like about AJ and the Queen so far is that each like scene, even though it's also supposed to be a comedy, we get these like messages and these subtle like everyday struggles that people go through. Like this episode we got mentioned about like breast cancer and how people are being strong and the subtle ways to overcome it, and that's through humor. So I feel like we all deserve to laugh. So that's kind of the connection that I grabbed from this episode is like, no matter what you're going through or, you know, whatever, you deserve to laugh. So there was always some like comedy in between each like heartfelt moment, and I thought that was great.
Yeah.
I love that too, because that's so very RuPaul to me too.
Very.
You know?
Very.
So the episode starts off where we get to see the aftermath of the car accident, and it's just this girl who was, I forgot what meme she was texting, but she was texting some
Grumpy cat.
Yeah, some meme to a friend. Actually, and I just laughed because I was like, oh, it's so true, you know?
That's actually Rachel Lockhart. I know her from Odyssey Theater, ironically. That played Diane. So shout out to Rachel. I'm going to send you this clip.
I did like when she was about to give the kid the weed. He's like, come on, give me the weed. Yeah, I loved it.
Because and AJ's always like, always on, always hustling. So she's trying to get something out of her. And
she got $200.
Yeah.
and then it comes up that Ruby is saying like, oh, all I have left is like $500 in a college account, and AJ's like, I think you can take that out now. So Damien, who's following them, we have this scene where Damien tells Lady Danger, I never did anything to him, he did stuff to me.
Okay,
and I was like, that's such a cliche.
Let's talk about that. Okay, now
typical.
Somebody fill me in. What is this supposed to mean?
That because he's straight, because he's married. He wanted Lady Danger to know that I didn't do anything to him. I just laid there, which is what straight guys do all the time. And let me just tell you, they don't just lay there.
But it's like, it's that old...
At least in my experience.
Okay, Mark, if you slept with someone, they weren't straight.
This is, well, I mean, no, we'll debate that another time. Because I don't necessarily think that every quote-unquote straight person that I hooked up with is necessarily gay. Just like I don't think girls who hook up with other girls in college and stuff are necessarily lesbians. So
all right, we're going to save that for another show.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a whole other...
Okay. Sorry, I asked.
But it's like, no, it's actually this old stereotype where
Okay.
they have this stereotype about closeted people who will say, you know, like, I paid for like a sex worker to go down on me, but I'm not gay because I didn't do anything, you know. And this comes up in Pose too, you know.
There was actually a truck driver. This is no joke.
No.
Rest in peace. He was an amazing man. But he used to come into the bar I worked at, and he used to say that, like, he was like, very straight. I mean, this old man, old truck driver. And he finally, one day after getting to know us and getting to know us better, he said, well, I mean, if you count the young guys at the truck stop. I went, dude, like, yes, that counts. He's like, but I don't do anything. I'm like, dude. So it's out there. Yep. Close your mouth, Jayla.
But Chucky Chuck in the comments says, as long as you get and don't give, you're not gay.
If you get in it. Yeah.
I feel like that's a stereotype.
Izzy, if you're listening to this, turn it off. I know you're a child. Turn this off right now. Oh my.
We'll debate this another
Well, thank
time.
you to everyone who is joining us in the chat.
Yes, Joseph, Chucky
really
Chuck,
appreciate
Ken.
it.
Everyone's got two names today. Mark.
Marky Mark.
There was somebody else in there, and I can't get this to scroll. Oh, wait, here we go. Let's see who else is in here. Billie Jean. Yeah, that's it. That's everybody.
Thank you guys.
All right, and
for
anybody who's
watching.
not chatting and is just watching and is shy.
So
We love you
then
too.
he realizes, you know, he only has one spare, but two of his tires are busted. So
Yes.
Lady Danger then busts open the trunk of another car and steals the spare.
Now you have two.
Now you have two. I thought, actually, I was like watching that. I was like, that's pretty creative.
I know, right?
God, don't try that, Jackie. Jackie's like, oh yeah.
I like. What did she say? It's. He's like, don't do this. It's an open carry state or something like that.
Oh,
I thought it was
yeah.
funny.
So then Ruby is pulled over by a cop, and we have this interaction where Ruby's like, do you know why I was pulled over by a cop? And like AJ's like, oh, it's because you're
Black.
Because you're black.
you know?
I thought that was funny.
It was
Yeah.
funny. It
Yeah.
was funny.
It turns out it's because the backlight is busted, but then Ruby goes into this long explanation of how, because, you know, it's like she's driving around with a white child, and so she goes into this long explanation about like sperm mixing
Yes.
to explain why she's the child's dad, which made me laugh so much because, like, you could tell the cop was not, like, the cop was like, at this point, I don't care. You know?
Yeah, and just kind of kept it going. I mean, it's the best way to get out of a ticket. Just keep going. Just keep going. It was clever scene. Maybe that could have sparked some type of like relationship with them, like, you know, father. Maybe like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Prediction. Too soon.
Prediction.
But yeah, I could see where you're saying that's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
something in the future where it's like
It's a
they're
foreshadow.
Yeah,
alluding to
totally.
to a father-daughter thing. So then Ruby has to take the car into the shop, so they go to this mechanic
In
and
Zanesville.
which
Is that
Mark
where you're
knows where
from?
it is.
No, but I have
He's
a couple
from
friends that are
Lorraine.
from Zanesville. Shout out to Zach and Tracy, who are from
Are
Zanesville.
they straight?
No, lesbian and big ol' homo.
Oh, there you have it.
Zanesville is turning them out. No, I'm from Lorraine, Ohio.
So, do they have wet T-shirt contests where you're from?
Oh, sure, I'm sure they do.
Have you ever competed?
No. Why did you look right at my double D's when you said that?
So they're in the auto shop, and the lady who's like the wife of the auto mechanic is sitting in there, and she's very kind of like no nonsense, bordering on like bored, and she's playing her game. And AJ goes into the bathroom and to call her mom, actually, which Ruby had suggested that she does, you know. So I thought that was, you know, we're seeing AJ is like actually listening.
A respect, like a
respecting.
sly respect, but we'll get it. We'll get there.
So the lady is on calendars all in the bathroom, and she has very big boobs in the calendars. And then when AJ comes out, she's like, "What happened to your boobs?"
Yeah.
And it turns out she had
No filter
breast
AJ, we'll
cancer.
call
yeah,
her.
no filter, AJ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did this remind anybody else of like the Tu Wong Fu ending? Like how?
Oh, somebody just wrote that. That reminded me of Tu Wong Fu.
Oh, Ken. We're
Ken.
right here.
Yeah.
We're right here. Yeah, this is like how they went to the small town and they were like broke down.
Oh, yeah.
And then they fixed the car and then it's like
Yeah.
everybody likes them and they all leave.
Yeah. I thought you were just talking about Tu Wong Fu and breast cancer, and I was like,
Oh,
where
no,
did
I'm
breast
so
cancer?
sorry.
I
No.
was like, I don't remember breast cancer in that movie. No, but yes, as far as the plot, yeah, I remember that. I feel like maybe there's a lot of references to like different, iconic drag things so far.
Yeah.
So
You guys
it has
called
to
it,
be. Yeah.
Now, Chuck is saying the still sexy Mark Singer and the fabulous Adrienne Barbeau. I'm guessing that's the husband and wife, but I don't know who those. I mean, he looked familiar to me. Mark Singer, I've seen him in other things. Well, that's what I'm hoping he'll hear what I'm saying right now because he's watching and he'll comment and tell me who they are, where they're from, because I'm guessing they are pretty
icons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be there for no reason. Also, what I was gonna say.
I did like though that she talks about, because so many when women have a complicated relationship with their breasts, and it's like when Tig Notaro, actually, the stand-up comedian, talks about how like when she had her breasts removed, she didn't want to get new breasts, and so I thought it was a poignant moment to say, like not all women who have that breast removal surgery want immediately to like run out and get fake breasts.
Yeah.
Or
strong with or without.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did appreciate that like poignant moment where she takes a moment to kind of explain to AJ, like, look, I didn't feel the need to go back and get new breasts. And so then they get invited to a wet t-shirt contest, basically because Ruby learns that there's something else wrong with the car. I mean, I just I like blanked out on that scene when the guy was like explaining, you have this wrong with your transmission or whatever it is. I'm
We've
like, I
all
don't know.
been there. Like you go get your car, you go get an oil change.
Yes.
And then you get there and there's like a million other problems wrong with your car. I'm like, no, my car is running just fine. But hey.
Mark Singer was on the Netflix show Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Okay.
Also a big sci-fi guy. And Adrienne Barbeau was the daughter on Maude.
I was born in the 90s.
I'm probably the only one that knows Maude. But Mark Singer was in Beastmaster in the 80s sci-fi series V.
I was born in the 90s.
I knew he looked familiar.
Okay.
I wouldn't have recognized her. I didn't watch Maude that much, but yeah. So
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
So because Ruby needs more money to pay for the car, the guy's like, well, why don't you come to this wet t-shirt contest?
Yeah.
And so
for $1,000.
Yeah.
That's a wet t-shirt concert.
Right?
I'm like, where are they making this money? Like, come on. This is Zanesville.
I love how Ruby somehow turned this accident into a tourist stop.
Yeah.
And still got the same amount of her booking.
Yeah.
Which I was shocked that Ruby's booking is $1,000.
Right? I know. That's what I said. I'm impressed, but I haven't been on.
She said, "I'm a
RuPaul's Drag Race,
star."
so I don't know.
So she dons her best breastplate and explain. I love how she's like explaining to AJ that she normally doesn't use it because she does like nude illusion or I don't remember what she was explaining, but it was funny. So then she dons her best breastplate and decides to go to the wet t-shirt contest. And one of my favorite lines in the episode, I hope this isn't Mark's quote of the week.
I'm just looking now to see what.
But she walks in and the contest is already, started, and there's a lady there, and he's like, that's not whoever we know from the DMV.
Yeah, she was hilarious. I'm like, I want to be her.
Oh, the one that was performing. Yeah. That's not her. Yeah.
I wonder, do they actually do that in small towns and stuff?
They do. I went to a small liberal arts college in Southern Maryland, and they definitely had a wet t-shirt contest every week. And you definitely did not get paid $1,000 for the wet t-shirt.
Well, how much did you get?
$100.
It
Two
was
drink
like
tickets.
$100 or drink tickets.
Sign me up.
It's like pennies on the dollar
And
or
peanuts.
free booze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I did not participate.
That was
because
my next question.
Just not enough money. Not enough money.
That's not the Jacque we know from AfterBuzz TV.
Well, where I went to school was like too many rednecks.
Yeah.
You know, maybe
Yeah.
if it was like this crowd, I would be okay. But
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
I don't need to encourage.
I mean, well,
Yeah.
we have water here. We can recreate it for our visual fans.
I thought that when I was pouring
Yeah.
them.
I want to do it like flash dance, where I pull
Yeah.
the thing and the
Oh,
water
Comes
comes
down.
down.
Of
if you would like
course.
to see this, follow Jackie's Instagram. She's gonna post it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna post it. It's gonna be all flash dance memes. But before they go in, AJ is like worried about, about her doing this contest and about like, what if they find out you're a guy, you know? And this is when Ruby explains to her, people can be more than one thing. And I really appreciated that because it's true. We do. I mean, we live in this world where, again, it has to do with the news. It's like you see someone in a certain way and you're like, okay, like so-and-so has a cowboy hat and cowboy boots on. That means that they voted for Trump and they're a redneck,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And it's like, well, there's tons of gay people in Dallas that wear cowboy boots. And,
Yeah.
And still voted for Trump, girl.
well, I don't know about that.
Well,
I was gonna say,
But people are complex, and that was
yeah.
the point. And that a lot of the articles I was reading about this series were saying that, they were pulling up that quote as like kind of like an emblem for the series for saying, people are more complex than we give them credit for.
yeah.
I appreciate that. Even though it probably killed Rue to say it.
Yeah, I know. It was actually interesting coming from Rue because
Yeah, I was like, well, you just said this in another article that, well, but like you said, it's acting. That's Ruby Red saying it and not
RuPaul. Yeah.
you said it. I mean.
Right. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say, speaking of, that's not the so-and-so I know from the post office. When I the only one when Rue was in that the pool that I was like, oh my God, she is going.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was like,
good.
holy, there's a RuPaul we don't see.
Yeah.
So that's why I said this is the closest that we'll ever get to see RuPaul in action.
I loved it. I mean, it just made it actually
Absolutely.
really made me go, wow, kudos to you for going there.
Yeah.
I just know so many people
whole
that would
number,
be afraid
though.
to go there, and she went there.
I
Thank
knew
you.
it from the Tina Turner performance. I was like, oh, this is really Rue. We didn't need the Christmas Queen double.
We didn't need the green screen hug.
Right. No green screen hugs. All Rue. So kudos.
I did. I thought that too. I thought this is like we're seeing some incredible performances from Rue, and so in the end, her fake boobs come off, but she's still.
I knew it was disaster.
Yeah.
This show, like I said, this show is set for a disaster, so I knew that was going to happen.
But she still wins. She loses
Still
the boobs,
wins.
but she still wins.
Great outcome.
Yeah.
And we could only have so much hope that that actually goes that way. This 6-foot black man can walk and drag in Ohio and be the winner and be okay with it, and you can walk home freely in your heels.
I feel like part of it too, though, is and this is like the beauty of TV magic. Part of it is like putting it out there and normalizing it. So that more kids can see that. Because like when I was young, I grew up watching Will and Grace, and even though I had a lot of gay friends, it kind of Will and Grace was a show that very much normalized, we're gay people and we're just like they're your neighbors.
People are different and get over it.
Yeah. So I do appreciate that. It's like, put the positivity that you want to exist, put it out there in the world.
Yeah.
So
and everybody doesn't have to be a victim, so I'm glad that they're not victimizing
Yeah.
the Ruby Red character. Like, you're down on your luck, but pick it up, bitch. You got shit to do. You got
This
purpose.
is one of the things, too, that I actually love about the series Pose, too, is that, the characters might have, these...
adversity
and stuff like that, but it's not like a Boys Don't Cry where like everything has to be like traumatically, like horrifyingly sad, which I think is good because it's like you need these LGBTQ stories to have like the diversity and complexity of all the other stories in the world.
I agree.
Yeah.
So then at the end we find out Damien is in the club, is within inches of getting to
Ruby.
Ruby. And that's where we leave off on this episode.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts before quote of the week?
Why didn't they report him when he was back there? They just let him just
I don't
fall.
know.
Like, it was this weird man wearing a mesh top, like on the ground. Like, I'm calling the cops.
It's, I was thinking this. I've had a couple people message me their comments about the show because they know I'm doing this and they know that, I did the red carpet and everything. And I just want to
hang on, let me say this. It's been blowing up on the internet. Like, you're like 22,000 views now.
Raven's interview
30,000.
has almost 32,000 views.
32,000.
Thank you very much.
It's on the rise.
It's on the rise.
Go click
Help
on
get
it.
me to 100,000. Like and
But
share.
also check out the other interviews.
No, there's a lot.
that,
There's a lot of them there. But what I was going to
Mark
say
did with the cast.
with Rue, with Trinity, with Eureka, Angina, Shangela. Ollie interviewed Izzy G, who plays AJ. He interviewed Tia Carrere, who plays Lady Danger.
And we're working on getting her on the show.
We're working on getting her on the show.
Yes.
So, check all those out. But what I was going to say is, everybody, you go to the clubs and you get in our little gay bubble, and everybody wants more visibility. They want, and I said this when I talked about the incident on The View, because everybody was so mad at Nina and who else was it? Nina and somebody else that went on The View for Meghan McCain's birthday, and they gave it was Monet, and they gave them so much crap, and it's like, look, we have drag queens on national television. Stop getting upset. Like, they brought her a birthday gift. Calm down. Like, be glad that we're out there and we're being seen, and be glad that Netflix did a show called AJ and the Queen, and watch it. And nothing's perfect. It's like,
And you can't convert people with hate. You can only convert them with love. So
Yeah,
maybe if they brought Meghan McCain a birthday cake, she'd be more willing to listen to
absolutely
their point of view.
Absolutely. So, I know some people were kind of disappointed in the first episode and they didn't want to watch. Keep watching, because I do think that there is, like you were saying, I think there's really nice messages and nuggets, and you just feel good watching it. Yes, there's some corny cliche things. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I am really enjoying it more and more the more I watch it. And I think I think that little girl is just, Izzy G is just knocking my socks off. She just is so charming and
one
cute.
of my favorite, there's always some kind of like funny moment. One of my favorite episodes, mostly because I swam a lot as a kid, is when like Ruby's trying to explain to her in this episode about like what floaties are, and she's never been to a pool, so she just doesn't get it. And so then in the end, she takes the boobs and puts them on as the floaties, and that was just, it's little moments like that I was like, oh, that's so clever and it's so funny.
Ken in the chat room wants to know what we all think of Rue's red hair as Ruby Red, since we haven't seen Rue in red hair for a long time.
It's very distinctive between Rue and a character, because if Rue was to wear blonde hair all the time, it would just be Rue acting.
Right.
But the wig change is distinctive. But I did clock this. Rue was wearing, in a flashback scene, he was wearing a Drag Race wig. Now, how many of these scenes have been like
just pulled from Drag Race?
Yeah, like they pull they pull him from Drag Race and be like, well, just shoot this on a green screen because you're already done up. We don't have time to do reshoots. We'll see the same look on Drag Race. I'm so sure. Sooner or later.
I like that idea, though. I think that's true.
Everything's in LA. I mean, you're shooting Drag Race here. You're probably on the same sound stage. Like, just come over here and shoot it.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I agree.
And somebody's going to find it. Watch. It's going to be a meme.
No, it's so
And they're going to be
true.
like, when you have to do this at 7 and then this at 8.
Wait for it. So our fan of the week, an iTunes comment, and if you comment a 5-star comment review on iTunes, or if you make a comment on YouTube, you could become fan of the week. So this is from the tenant.
We have a very high bar here.
The tenant 1944258 says they accidentally binged AJ and the Queen, and now they can't get enough of it. They'll be listening to every episode that we put out. They love our thoughts on it because they haven't been able to meet anyone else who's gotten into it. So
great.
Spread the love.
We're your new friends.
I'm saying, if you do meet other people who watch it, make sure you tell them about our podcast and they can come listen to it too.
And I just love that. I just love that the tenant accidentally binged.
I know. I was just going to say, like, accidentally.
You accidentally find
on
us.
purpose.
So what's the quote of the week? week.
Quote of the week for episode 3 is Miss RuPaul herself, Ruby Red, when she said when AJ pulls the glove out of the glove box and she says, "You're surprised to see a satin glove in a drag queen's glove box?"
Now, do you keep? When I saw that part, I immediately thought about you. Like, do you have like satin? I swear I did. I was like, this is fucking.
I actually don't like wearing. I actually don't like wearing gloves.
Like, it's gonna be just feather boas everywhere.
I don't like wearing gloves in drag. I like the nails too much, so I don't like wearing gloves. Plus, it's weird and then you're touching your makeup and stuff like that. So I don't like wearing gloves. But
you don't like the nail gloves?
Oh,
the lazy gloves?
No, those are lazy.
I love them. That's what they're called lazy gloves.
Oh, they are. I hate them. But there was a point when I hated when they didn't wear.
I love it.
I can't. I can't with those. I can't. It's going to take a lot to convert me on those.
You didn't do your nails today? You just put on a glove.
Yeah, I can't. And speaking of nails, we have to clock Rue for not wearing nails to that to the wet t-shirt contest.
I don't think she wears nails, does she usually?
She wore nails in the first couple episodes.
Oh, she did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
so I have news and gossip.
Ooh.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So Gwyneth Paltrow, this is going to make sense in the end.
Okay.
Her Goop line released a vagina candle that I think it said like, "This smells like my vagina" or whatever. It was $75 and it like sold out immediately, basically.
I heard about this.
So they bought some $75 candle that supposedly it has some other smell. It's not actually her vagina. And then so Wow released a candle called "This Smells Like My Charisma, Uniqueness, Nerve, and Talent."
Oh, how funny.
Oh my God, I love it.
And if you want to buy that, they're not shipping till February, but they're taking pre-orders now. You can go to the Wow website.
Shout out to
it's
PR.
only $25.
Okay.
That's not bad.
So it's a
That's not bad.
cheaper candle.
And also for news and gossip, if you're not, you should be watching every Thursday Drag Race News Weekly. With yours truly. All 7 of the Meet the Brit crews are finally out and done. Sorry, I had eye surgery, so it took me a little longer to get the last 2 in. But the lighting's better.
Because now
the bitch can see. But yeah, all 7 are out there, so get to know all 7 of the UK Brit crew members. And then we'll have more coming up. And if you guys have any suggestions for segments for it, I'm happy to take your suggestions.
Yeah, in a box that we don't care about. No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then also don't forget to watch the red carpets from AJ and the Queen if you want more AJ and the Queen insight and hear what all the girls that you've seen on the show so far have, their experience and all that stuff.
Who is your favorite cameo? Let us know. Tweet us. Talk to us.
Sure.
Do everything.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
You can find me at 123 Jackie B on all platforms. Jayla, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm going to wait for the beat to drop. You guys can watch me flex on Instagram. Follow me at Who is Jayla Roxx. That's 2 X's 3 if you nasty.
Woohoo! And you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Lorraine Love. That's LORAYNE LOVE.
And stay tuned for episode 4 after this.
Yes! We're not done.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.